All right. Hey, George. Glad to have you on the Upscale Method podcast. So maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your agency.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Chris, for having me here. It's an honor. Again, my name is Jorge Pacheco, and the name of my agency is Kulture Konnect. We have been in business for the past 16 plus years, and we have historically been in the restaurant industry as our main bread and butter field and niche. We have an array of experience in other industry, but that's been pretty much our main focus over the years. We know the restaurant industry in and out,
Mm-hmm.
but now we are trying to pivot that, for obvious reasons with COVID-19. One of the most affected industries has been the restaurant industry. So we are rethinking and reimagining our agency as it is, and pretty excited about it.
Cool. So what do you feel is the new direction then for your agency?
Well, historically we have been branding and digital marketing studio. That's how that's our brand. That's has been our forte over the past 16 plus years. But with us has come a lot of strategy experience, and we have been able to help quite a few of our clients with their growth. So unfortunately, many times we have uh, migrated from being that strategy agency to a la carte agency, and what we want to do is to be able to provide our clients with um, value
Mm-hmm.
instead of just one thing here and one thing there. The value that we want to bring to them is that we can be an integral part of their marketing efforts to transform and grow, whether that is through a social media strategy or an email marketing strategy or website growth or all of those combined. Um, we want to be of value and not just as one more tool for them, uh, to just do one thing.
Mm-hmm. I see. So you want to have a much more custom approach to fit their needs. Is that how you feel your agency is shifting?
I would say so. We still foresee that we are going to keep those, some of those a la carte instances. But our main focus will be to, yes, be. We're going to standardize things. Obviously, there are going to be some instances in which it's going to be very customized, but the standardization of things will just allow us to get more clients and work. So we will have to have and consider those plans that are standard for clients that come to us and say, hey, I want a website growth package. Then this is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it would be standardized. But again, there are some instances in which the client will have more budget and will require different assistance, and those will be more customized packages.
Okay, got it. Very cool. Okay. And so I have a couple of questions for you. Is that okay if I ask a couple questions about kind of what I guess, about your journey and things that you're learning, things like that?
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, one of the questions I had was, what's your biggest lesson so far? Because you've been in business doing this for about 15 years now, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sure you've had all sorts of different ups, downs, and cool lessons and things like that. So what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned so far?
I think I would say perseverance has been our biggest lesson. I think uh, if we didn't persevere over the years, Culture Connect wouldn't exist. And you know, me and my partner, my business partner, who's also my life partner, my wife, we would be just working for somebody else, and because that would have been the easiest um, exit, the easiest out. We survived, the 2008 recession.
Right.
We have survived this COVID-19 recession. So we have proven that we can make it through, and we are just ready to grow. And I think that being perseverant and being ready to take on these unexpected challenges is what really keep your motor going.
Interesting. So for you, there were times that were probably surprising and difficult, right? So you mentioned that you had to, adjust, right? I mean, what enabled you to do that, do you think?
Well, I think that as a business owner and especially as a small or a micro business owner, and all those listening to this will feel identified with this. You need to be ready to adapt to what comes with the business and what comes with life. So we have grown our team, and we or expanded our team, and we have there have been points in which it has been only my wife and myself holding the fort, because for example, in 2008 we actually, that before 2008 was when we had our team at the biggest size. We were about 10 or 11 people. We had to get rid of everybody because it was such a bad time, and it was down just to myself and my wife. And at that point, it got so bad that it was only my wife, because I had to go out and find something else. But then we continue, working at nights, working hard, and we just got through it. And then as the economy started to recoup, we were able to, bring Jorge back, and then, bring the team, or some of the team, all team members back on board. And the same thing happened with COVID-19, and luckily, we had, as a business, we've had all this help from the government. That's also been something that's allowed us to maintain the business open, because it's allowed us to keep our team on board and still, being able to pay them without taking such a huge hit. So I think it's been a lot of those things in terms of expanding and reducing our resources, but also figuring out what the best next step is. It wasn't just about, we gotta get rid of everybody, now what do we do? And sit on our thumbs. We needed to, and it's what we're doing now. What's our best next step? And we need to pivot from what we were doing before, because that doesn't work in this realm or in this universe anymore.
Right. So you had to adapt fairly quickly in both of those cases. That's interesting.
Yes.
That's very cool. So one of the questions I had was kind of similar. What are the biggest challenges? So I guess, is that related? Would you say those are the same, or do you feel like you had a bigger challenge? What's your biggest challenge that you've had to face?
Well, I think in terms of the overall picture, you could say that it's relatable. But I think as a business owner, I think all business owners, we face pretty much the same things. We many times think we are the only ones going through something, but there are millions of other business owners going through the same thing. Just dealing with pricing, dealing with proposals, and sales. Sales has been one of our biggest challenges, because we, I say that it's been our blessing, but also curse because we have always been getting business through word of mouth. So it's great because it's pretty much a hot lead when we get a referral, but at the same time, we get we get so comfortable getting those that we don't go out of our comfort zone to get more leads.
Mm-hmm.
And because this referral or word of mouth leads don't come 10 a week, they come one every other month or so. And also the sales cycle is a little long with those referrals. So I would say that our biggest pain is sales still is, and we're trying to change that as well as we pivot and reimagine our company. And I think as every other business, I think the second biggest challenge, and I wouldn't say a pain, this one is a really big challenge, is dealing with employees. It's a whole different new world dealing with employees. Not only all the normal logistics like your payroll company and HR things and signing documents and all that stuff, but just
right.
the day-to-day employee stuff is sometimes challenging.
Yeah, it's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
Got it. Wow. So thanks for sharing all that. So it sounds like you're really taking this year in a new direction, just pivoting and looking for ways to overcome those challenges, becoming more resilient, things like that. So now that you're kind of moving towards this new direction, I mean, you're working on your sales now, you've got some plans in place, it sounds like, and what do you feel you're most proud of out of all the achievements so far with your agency?
Well, the obvious thing is that we are always proud about the deliverables that we put out. Anything and everything that we do for our clients is of quality. And we have had instances in which we just have to say, in the end, the client is the one that pays the bills, but we just make sure we don't put those in our portfolio. But I think, besides that, being proud of the type of work that we put out in the world, I think that it would be internally, it would be the way we treat ourselves as a team and the way we envision the company, and we are pretty small. We're only 5 people, counting myself and my business partner. But the way we envision our company, we try to get everybody on the bus to make sure that we all go together, we all grow together, and nobody gets left behind. So we are more, because we're so small, we're more of a family than just me being the boss and nobody can touch me or something like that. I think that culture and it's in the name, Kulture Konnect. I think that culture connection internally is what allows us to create that culture connection with our clients, and that takes me to the next thing that we're more proud of, is the type of relationships that we create with our clients. Our average relationship with a client is between 3 to 5 years, which is pretty good. And when they move on not necessarily because we've had anything bad happening to the relationship. It might be because they change marketing manager or director, and that person just brings on board their own team or whatever.
Yeah.
But we have relationships that have are since the inception of Kulture Konnect 60 years ago. So we're very proud of that. Very proud of that.
Very cool. Thanks. I mean, sorry, I said your name wrong at the beginning, didn't I? I said George. I should have said. Do people call you George, by the way, sometimes, or?
Not so much anymore.
Okay, so Jorge.
Jorge.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thanks, Jorge.
Well, but don't worry, I've got everything, like, and especially because of my accent, it's not the normal Latino accent.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
from Colombia, so people are here. I use more of the Central American accent. So like people think I'm from Spain, from Germany, from France, from different places, and they call me George or Georgie or Jorgen or
okay.
things. So
I'm not the first.
No, it's okay.
Thanks for making me feel a bit better. Okay, so yeah, so the last question I had was, just as you kind of move forward in the future with your agency, what kind of agency do you kind of envision for yourself as far as like in the long term, or what kind of legacy would you like to leave behind for yourself, for your family, for the world?
Well, in terms of Kulture Konnect, the way we envision Kulture Konnect is to be able to grow internally our team to 10 to 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good number for us to be able to provide the human resources to maintain good relationships and provide good work for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of what kind of things we can do for our clients, Nikki and my main goal is to be able, again, as I said before, to be of value to our clients, not just one more agency that does a logo, or one more agent, then they disappear, or one more agency that does a website and then they disappear. For us is the value that we bring. If we do a website, the value that we bring to you is not only an awesome website that's going to be with the latest technology, latest design trends and ADA compliant, but also we're going to be there for you to help you grow traffic to your website, create more leads through your website for your business. So we are of support to your overall marketing efforts. And that way, the relationship grows, the relationship, we create longevity for the relationship, and we create credibility as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not, a quickie.
Mm-hmm.
It's, a nice and long relationship. And in terms of personal legacy, my goal with Kulture Konnect and my life is to be able to get to a point in which let me rewind a little bit. So right now with Kulture Konnect, the way it's set up, just because of the circumstances of it, we, Nikki and myself, we are pretty much mandatory to be here at the helm.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is to be get to a point in which we are needed, but not mandatory to be here, which will allow us to be able to through what we have accomplished with Kulture Konnect, make an impact on others, and make more of an impact on our community, get that time and economic resources to make an impact on our community through, whether it is nonprofit organizations or volunteering or different things that we can do to help our community and also be of a good example. No, because we're a good example for our kids now, in the moral and values and work principles and things like that. But we also want to be a role model for our kids to be of service
Mm-hmm.
To our community.
Cool. So I like that about your agency, is you're very focused on culture and connecting and community and those kind of things, of course, mm-hmm. right? So that's very cool. So you're basically, what you're saying is you really want to make an impact for your clients as far as results, long-term relationships, things like that. And then you also want to bring, your success to your community and really contribute where you can through nonprofits or different volunteer services and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's really beautiful. Thanks Jorge for for sharing everything. And do you have anything else that you want to share? Anything at all?
Well, I think that one of the reasons I'm here is because, I've been seeing you on Facebook, and I've been attracted to what you do with Upscale method, and right now being part of the program, I'm super excited about what you have put together, so we are able to grow that side of our business as well with websites. For us, we just by chance landed on the restaurant industry, and that was and has been our niche for the longest time. But we never have done the exercise of really, like, oh, I'm gonna focus on this niche, and this are the steps, or these are the reasons, or whatever. You have been very successful with your focus on digital and web agencies, and maybe you can share with us, what kind of steps or what kind of ideas or things one as a business owner of a digital agency, and two as a business owner in general, we can follow, from your success.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So you're kind of asking a good question. Basically, how do you niche down? How do you focus on a certain area of expertise or a certain industry, that kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Is that kind of what you're asking? So what I found fairly effective is to, first of all, start with you, look at your own passions. That could be you, your wife, your team, look at your own passions. What do you really like doing? And then look at your purpose. And what I mean by purpose is I've kind of grown over the years to understand that, to me, purpose usually ends up being something like, who do I want to serve? You know what I mean? So what type of clients do you happen to like serving? Just naturally, you just love seeing them succeed. You love seeing them happy. Maybe you might have a family member, or maybe somebody, maybe even in your own life, you connect with that industry or that profession or that type of person. And it doesn't always have to be an industry. It could be a type of person. It could be like, single moms, or it could be pastors, or, people that, all sorts of different types of people that you really might resonate with. So those are some really good questions to ask. But one of the most important ones is, of course, looking at where does your profits come from. So look at your own business and look at what kind of success you've already had. And it's really important to have, enough sales coming in where you can actually look at your data and take a look at, okay, where are we actually profitable? And where are our most happiest clients? Because these are all the indicators you're trying to line up. So it's like your own passions, your own purpose, but you also want to see, well, where are the happiest clients inside of all of the clients that we've served, and which ones are the most profitable? Because inside of that area, happy clients, most profitable, most passion, most purpose, you're going to find a sweet spot. And that's what you're really trying to do. There might not be one sweet spot. There might be 10 different sweet spots, but you could kind of rank them and kind of figure out, well, which one's the most likely for us? And you probably have some other indicators, some hints of where the trend is going, in a certain industry. And so you might kind of feel like, well, this is really where things are headed for us, and so this is where we want to focus. And that's usually how I coach people on how to niche down. It's really just looking at all that data and playing with it. And what I mean by playing with it is go try that, go put more effort into that and see if it feels right, see if things start to connect for you. Another really big one that sometimes people forget about is, do we have a connection to these people? So whoever these people are that you're serving, do you have some kind of existing connection, or do you have a way of connecting to them? Because if you have no way of connecting to them, for some reason it's impossible or very, very costly, then you may have a very difficult time, niching down with that particular group. So try to find ways that make it likely or easy to niche down in that group. So there's things like Facebook targeting, Google Ads, networking, going through influencers or whatever you want to do, but there's got to be some way to connect with that target audience. And if there isn't a really good way, then it's very difficult, right? So usually there is a way, but you could imagine if you have a very very difficult niche that's just impossible to maybe pinpoint who those people are. You know what I mean? Like I'll give one example that might have been close to a bad niche. I wouldn't say it's a completely bad niche. But the nonprofit organizations in general, it gives you a nice feeling that you want to serve them, but they're all very different than each other. So they don't all hang out in the same places all the time. And so that might be a difficult niche to target, for example. And I haven't seen a lot of niches that are like that are just like difficult to find out. But I'm sure they like similar, probably similar tools and similar software and things like that. So you might be able to use that as a way of targeting them. But the point is, yeah, if you do have a group that you want to serve, find if there's a good way to serve them as far as connecting with them through whatever strategy you're good at or whatever connections you have, and that can give you another indicator. So, I mean, out of all that, I guess I listed 6 different things. I'll try to go back through them for everybody in the audience. So one is your passion. One is purpose. In other words, who do you like to serve? One is what clients are already happy. Because that's a really good indicator that you're doing a good job. Another one is your profit. Are you actually profitable with those clients? Another one is the trend. So is there a trend that might be taking off in that direction? That might be a really good indicator to take a good look at that. And then the other one is your ability to connect with that target audience. And so if you can kind of line all those things up, then you'll have a very good or a very good chance of niching down. And I guess the last part is just to think of it iteratively. So try niching down and then listen heavily, see what kind of feedback you get after trying to niche down, and then use that feedback for the next step and just keep iterating so you get kind of closer and closer to your audience. Whether that means, the number of connections you have are going to increase. Hopefully they do, which is, that's a good sign. And then getting better at serving them, that's something that I've been learning. And a big thing that drives me is just the idea of, it's kind of a humbling feeling of, I don't say this in a negative way, but I feel like I'm not good enough at serving yet. And I mean that in a positive way, that I want to get better every day. I want to get better every day, serve just a little better, find a way to listen a bit better, find a way to do a bit better job. And I feel like that's a really important part of niching down too. It's like this feeling that don't pretend that you know how to serve, because if you do, you're probably going to miss the mark, right? Because it's very easy to assume we know exactly what people need when really we don't.
Yes.
And so it's a humbling lesson to be a marketer, I think, because things are changing all the time. There's so many people out there that we have no idea about. Like, even if we think we know what our niche wants, we probably don't, because every single person inside our niche is different. So you got to listen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. So true. So true. And especially like this thing that you just said about being a marketer has to be a humbling service instance, because really like when you go in to a client as a marketer, they just see salesman. What are they trying to sell me now?
Right. Right.
And not only that, if they are your client, all they're looking for is for that ROI, which is understandable. But the unfortunate thing is that marketing is not an exact science.
Yeah.
And by being humble and being willing to always improve on your service and how you serve, I think it's a good way to think about it and how to grow, not only in as a person but also as a business.
Yeah, I've been kind of enjoying recently being humbled more often, because I feel like I'm learning more. You make a like when you pitch something to somebody and it's not asked for, right? It feels like, from their perspective, it feels like spam. It feels like you're maybe shoving something in their face or shoving something down their throat, or maybe it almost feels like you're judging them, almost like as if you know them but you don't, and all this kind of stuff. And it can come across so harsh, right? And we're trying to do the opposite, as marketers and salespeople. Like, we have to be the opposite of that. We really have to be on the side of really listening and realizing, oh, like, I need to maybe ask more questions. I need to assume a little bit less,
Yeah.
And it seems to always go much better when we do that. So that's where I'm at with where I'm trying to serve better is, I feel like there's this super secret skill called listening, and it sounds super boring, but if we can get just a little better, then I think we'll do better, in life. So that's
Yes,
a big
yes,
area. So
that's very true, and I think that um, if you do it that way, I think that trust will grow uh, in a healthier environment. Not only with the client relationship, but also internally with the team. I think you can also implement that listening not only outside but also inside.
right.
Um,
It feels
yeah,
like the two sides of an agency are, you got to sell on this side, right? You got to sell new clients. And on this side, you got to manage your team. But the more I learn about both those sides, they're the same skill, right? It's people skills. Like, you've got to get better at, listening to both sides and finding ways to have a win over here for these people, like long-term win for your clients and a long-term win for your team, right? Because your team are humans, they're people. Like, they might not want to own their own business yet. Maybe one day they do want to own their own business. Maybe they never want to own their own business. Maybe they just want to have success in this area or that area. Maybe they want to grow their skills in some creative way, or who knows, right? So yeah, running your team is really interesting, because it's like, if you really listen to them, then sometimes you might have to let them go in a good way. Say like that, say, hey, like, it sounds like you're not happy here. It sounds like what you really want to be is maybe an entrepreneur, or maybe this, or maybe that. And sometimes, listening and letting them go is like good for you and for them. And what I've learned in life is there's not really such a thing as a win-lose. You know what I mean? Like, if your staff is losing, like if your employee is losing and you're winning, it doesn't make sense, right? Because they're going to come to
yeah,
work unmotivated. They're going to come to work unhappy. They're not going to be able to do their best work. They're not going to feel alive. So you can't really have a win-lose attitude, right? You always have
hmm
to help everybody around you win. So yeah, so I don't know. That's a big part of running an agency. Just to
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I guess that kind of like brings me to one more question, because as business owners, and especially when we're so small, we either like or out of necessity have to wear so many hats, right? And
right,
and nobody can do it better than us, right? As
right,
business owners. uh, so that issue of trust on being able to delegate and just trust that things are going to be able to get done. Maybe not to our standards,
right.
but they're going to get done by our team. I think it's a big challenge for owners of micro businesses and even small businesses as well.
hmm
What's your take on that?
So, how to trust your team, basically, with
hmm
things that you delegate.
hmm
Is that right? So, when delegating, it comes down to a number of different things, but the person that you're delegating to needs to. So, there's different levels of skill, right? So, sometimes if you delegate something to a team member and their skill is very high, then and they're really motivated, then you can probably let them just do it, right? But those are the things you have to think about when you're delegating. Like, is how skilled is this person at this particular task? Are they here, or are they way down here? Where are they at with their skill? If their skill is really low, then they need training, or they need an SOP. Maybe some kind of training video, or sort of step-by-step instructions, and maybe a bit more feedback from you, right? So
hmm
that's something you need to be aware of, is like, where are they at on the skill side, and then where are they at on the motivation side. So for motivation, what I've learned is there's two. This is just, I know there's a lot of motivation literature out there, but from my perspective, there's two main areas that we need to focus on. One is hiring the people who actually want that job. Like, whatever that role is and whatever the tasks are and whoever those people are that they're serving, we need to hire people that are absolutely in love with that idea. Like, that's their dream. If that's their dream, then their motivation should be there. and we want to keep that dream alive, right? For that employee. So we got to look for the right person that has the heart for that position. And that's what we're looking for. We're trying to match that up. Now, that doesn't mean that they're always going to be fired up every single day. Just like you and I, we're going to have days that, we're going to be, we're going to have a bad day sometimes, right? It happens. So, but the trick with a lot of that is to help your employees buy into their big, allow their why, their purpose in life to align with your agency's purpose, right? So if your agency has a strong purpose and your team, they have a strong purpose that you can align with. So basically that comes down to asking them, questions about, it's kind of like a sales call, but ask them what's important to you and how can we help you with your career and how can we help you, fulfill your life's purpose, what would you like to accomplish with your life and how can we as an agency help you do that? And so you want to listen to your team and then align that with your team's values and vision and see if you can always keep them aligned with that and remind the people in your team why they're there, right? Sometimes it's easy to get stuck in the grind and feel like, you're having a bad day or whatever, but find ways to remember to remind people, what their why is. Even as an agency owner, as a business owner, that has helped me a lot as well, just to always remember what my why is. And I think that's a big part of running successful teams, communities, and that kind of stuff. People need to see the big picture, the big goals, and they need to know what they're working towards so that they feel excited about that. And so what I'm saying is they need to tie the small tasks to the big task, right? The big goal is sometimes fun to think about, but then sometimes if we get stuck on these tasks and we think that we're just doing it to check off a list and it doesn't fulfill us, it needs to be tied to something bigger than themselves. So that's pretty big. The other thing is just in general, treating people well, just treating people well, as humans. I think you're good at that. Just helping people have a sense of belonging and things like that. But yeah, just treat people as humans, and then if they feel like they have friends at work, for example, they feel like they're a part of something and they enjoy the people that they work with, that can make a big difference too. That's why it's sometimes good to have, have values and things so that people get along inside the team, things like that. But out of everything I've said so far, what do you feel is sort of helpful?
Everything that you've said, it's some of those things we already do, but some of those we don't. So I think it's a good thing to always be reminded, about what can be done and how it can be implemented. Like you said, you mentioned something that's very true, that we just get into the grind of things just to get things done. We just need to get things done. In the day to day, and we forget about the big scheme of things, and then we just get burnt out, and then team members leave, because they get burnt out and they just don't want to do the same thing over and over and over and over, just because they need to get done. I think that balance needs to exist of what's the motivation, what's your why are you here, and nurture that why. I think one of the biggest challenges, especially for small boutique businesses like Kulture Konnect, is really because there's so much to do, just to find that time to continuously nurture that why, not only for the team, but also even for just Nikki and I. We're just, okay, let's get this done. We need to get it done. Work however many hours we need to work to get it done, and we just forget about just kind of stopping and taking a step back, look at the big picture, and just get reminded of the vision and the mission.
Yeah, that's a really good approach. What has helped me actually in so here's an interesting problem. This is not in an agency specific problem. It's a human problem. But basically, people put together task lists. They check off their task lists, and they get a sense of accomplishment from checking off the task list. but over time they get too focused on sometimes the task list and they feel like it's sort of meaningless. It gives them a sense of sort of short-term fulfillment, but they're not really sure what their big purpose is in life, and so they kind of lose track of that. And then their motivation can sometimes go down. And so what I found that works really well is reminding yourself why you did that task. Like, did you do that task to just check it off the list, or did you do that task because it's related to something bigger than the task list, right? So if you can always relate that, it's a really nice feeling when you check something off that list and go, why was that important again? Okay, it was because I care about what? Like, there's something bigger probably that you care about. So say it and remind yourself what you care about. And I think that's a really important way for anybody to get through the day. You can enjoy doing all those little things because it's related to something you care about, right?
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's pretty deep. I like that.
Thanks.
Simple, but very truthful and deep.
Thanks. Well, it is super simple, and the reason it's probably deep is because if you don't do that, people tend to fluctuate with their motivation, and they have all sorts of weird motivational problems if they don't do something like that. For example, they'll check off the task list and they feel like, oh, they're done for the day. Well, are you really done for the day? Like, what do you actually want to accomplish with your life? Right?
Yeah.
Like
so true.
It's like we can sometimes we can shoot ourselves in the foot if we don't remember, I think, why we do what we do. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. Another thing is maybe you could ask your team, what types of things they would prefer doing, or who would you like to serve, or what types of impact would you like to make? Like, just asking questions about what really makes them tick, what makes them motivated, because you might be able to swap tasks around to make it, maybe this person likes to serve, technical clients a bit more because they just get along with them, or they feel so happy doing that for some reason, and then this person, they just love serving, maybe medical clinics for whatever reason. It's just like aligning what people want inside of the company, and even giving them a little bit of freedom maybe sometimes to pick certain tasks, that might give them that extra feeling of control. Because that's another huge thing that is affecting everybody in life, is this feeling of not being in control. It creates, like, everybody's anxiety is basically this feeling that life is not in my control. Like, if you feel like this feeling that my life is not in my control, then you're going to have a constant anxiety, right? And so if you give people a little bit of control, then their anxiety goes down, because then they start to feel, oh, like, I have control over things, So if you give freedom of choice to your employees, then they start to feel more in control of their life, right? So that's another crazy thing that you can just add to the mix, like allowing them to have a certain say over things and that kind of stuff. And that's also a reason why it's fun to be an expert, I think. Like, as your employees get better, they don't need to follow the rules directly, because it's not about the rules sometimes. Sometimes it's about breaking the rules, because you have to, have to be creative. You have to create something new. And sometimes you want your employees to do that too, right? And that actually gives them a sense of self, of satisfaction and control over their lives too. It's kind of interesting. So you can structure it however you want. It depends on where your employees are at, though, right? If they're brand new to design, then you probably don't want to say do whatever you want. Like, you probably want to give them a lot more structure, a lot more training, things like that, right?
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. Yeah.
Cool. Good. Yeah, good questions, by the way. So, yeah, I think that's been a really good episode. Hopefully people have gained some good knowledge, and people have got to understand Kulture Konnect and what it is that you do, Jorge. So it's, very cool. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap this up?
Well, again, thank you so much for having me here with you. I'm super honored, to have you interviewing me and asking me all these questions about myself and Kulture Konnect. It's always nice to get our name out as much as we can, but more than that, I'm super excited about being part of the Upscale Method program. I'm looking forward to the results, and like everything else in life, it's going to be work, but I know that if we put the work into it, we're going to have a lot of success.
Very cool. Yeah, thank you so much, Jorge. And let's keep everyone posted on how things go in the next few weeks.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Chris.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Okay, bye now.